Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to a very special edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. That's right, folks, it is time for a list. As I sit here before you, it is July 2nd, 2018. That means we are successfully through 6 months of the year, and that means it is time for one list and one list only. You know the drill, folks. Pull up a chair, take a seat. It's time for the Seaman to give you his top 10 movies from the first half of 2018. I tell you, man, last year, such a great year for film. All of the Oscar films, fantastic. All of the non-Oscar films, fantastic. My favorite movie of the year last year was a superhero flick with Logan. Wow, man, 2017 stacked the bar real high. It was really hard to give you a top 10 last year. We're only 6 months into the year, and it was really hard to give you a top 10 this year. There have been so many great films already this year. It was really hard to get these into an order. I'd tell you at least 7 of these, you could argue, into the top 3, and you'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense. It has been a really good year for film already, so let's get right into it. But you know how I roll. Before I give you the big 10, I like to give you my 5 honorable mentions, because there are just so many good movies this year. Let's rip through them real quick. Coming in for me at number 15, Solo. Really nice entry, I thought, for Star Wars, right? This movie's a lot of fun. Is it the best movie? No. Is it maybe the movie we needed? Probably not. But I tell you, Alden Ehrenreich steals your heart by the end of the movie, man. He really owns this character, and he plays it his way. He finds a way to make it feel like Han, but not the Han we get until, we're closer to the end of the movie. By the end of the movie, we start seeing the guy we know. And I thought that was really impressive. So I really enjoyed Solo a lot more than critics or even the fans are giving this movie credit for it. Yeah, no, there's no huge Star Wars pop moment. No, it's not the best Star Wars movie. There's plenty of, issues here and there, and we've talked about all those. But on the overall, man, this is a really fun, Western in space, which is cool. And I really enjoyed it. So for me, that's number 15. At number 14, Tomb Raider, starring Alicia Vikander. I was so stoked about this movie. I'm a huge video game guy, and video game movies always struggle. And Alicia Vikander brought something new and fresh to the Lara Croft character. They really kind of almost followed verbatim one of the video games, and that's not a bad move. It's actually a smart move, especially when you're talking about video game fans are your biggest critics on whether or not they're good or bad. There were so many things right out of the game, and Vikander's just so well. The action and the puzzles, it all worked. Can't wait to see the next one. I think the ceiling is even higher than what they reached in this one. So for me, 14, Tomb Raider so far in 2018. At 13, this one was kind of a surprise. Thought I was going in for just a ha-ha, good time, funny movie. And I got a really solid flick, Tag. Really great cast. I come from a really big group of friends from home, and I was like, man, why didn't we play tag our whole lives? That's a genius idea. We should start doing that now. But it really pulls on like the friends being your family strings. And it's just a lot of fun. It's really funny. They do a lot of things. It's cinematically really fun too, man. A lot of cool camera work. Just an all-around solid flick for Tag. That comes in at 13. Number 12, Ready Player One from Steven Spielberg. Man, I thought he nailed a movie that could have gone so bad, right? With all the nostalgia and all the Easter eggs we were going to throw into this movie could have gotten off the rails real fast, and he did a real good job of letting that be in the background for you to play with if you wanted, but then gave us a really solid story. Obviously, I didn't read the book. If you saw my Ready Player One review, you know that I missed it. But that being said, not reading the book, I thought this was a really fun movie. I really, really enjoyed it. The action, the CGI is insane. Almost in the top 10, but not quite there. Ready Player One comes in at 12 for me. And then number 11, this one also kind of a surprise. I thought it was just going to be kind of like a ha-ha, good time, funny movie. And then I got a really solid flick again. The comedy movies are doing that a lot. And this one, no different. A much bigger heart in this movie than I expected. Coming in at number 11, Blockers. John Cena, just absolutely hysterical. I love when he plays a character that doesn't know he's John Cena, like size-wise or strength-wise. That whole cast has a lot of fun. And like I said, there's a real solid heart to the movie that you don't expect. Really good time flick with Blockers. That's number 11 for me. So let's get into it, man. We've wasted enough time. It's you're sitting here 5 minutes in. Come on, Corey, give me the top 10. Well, it's time. Let's go, baby. Top 10 time. Number 10, Annihilation. Oh man, I tell you, I need to see this movie twice. because I wasn't, didn't know what to expect the first time, and then the second time really solidified how good this sci-fi flick was. Really cool sci-fi flick. Alex Garland, he might have butted heads with the studio a little bit, which is why it was a Netflix release everywhere else, and only studio, on the screen theaters in the States. And maybe the studios aren't totally wrong. The ending is, kind of vague and not fan friendly per se. But if you're a true sci-fi fan, you should really dig this movie. It's really smart. The special effects and the practical effects and the set pieces are just all amazing. Like the visuals in this movie are stunning, start to finish. And it's an interesting story, and you have a really, really strong group of women that are leading this cast. Right at the top with Natalie Portman. But then you also have Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tuva Novotny, and Tessa Thompson, and they are a really strong group of women that drive this flick. They all crush their roles really, really well. And this movie, whether or not you buy all the way, I think you got to be a real sci-fi fan to really get this, because it's out there. But it hits so many good things, and it gave me two of the most suspenseful, terrifying sequences I've seen in a movie in the last few years. The bear sequence, and then the finale with the Natalie Portman doppelganger thing, her clone type thing. Those two sequences, separate from the movie, are unbelievable. From a writing, from an acting, from a cinematic, they are just so good. Those alone should get this movie into the top 10, as it does for me. But all around, I thought really solid sci-fi flick. Really, really enjoyed Annihilation. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out, especially if you're a big-time sci-fi fan. All right, number 9. Little shocking that this movie is this far down in the list, but that's how good the movies have been so far. Coming in at number 9 for me, and for what it gives you, I even said I thought this was better than the first one, but it can only get to 9 on my list. It's Deadpool 2. I absolutely loved this movie, man. Ryan Reynolds just crushes it. He was involved with the writing this time, and the acting, obviously. He does this character. Nobody but Ryan Reynolds, I think, could ever play Deadpool. He owns that character so well. It's got so many good twists and turns. Things you're not expecting that end up working, and it is laugh out loud funny start to finish. This movie is so funny. The action may be a little light at times, but when it is, it's really good. There's some really good hand-to-hand stuff, which elevated it even from the first one. But on the overall, a little bit lighter on the action, but so much funny. And this cast is great. Miranda Baccarin, Josh Brolin are, awesome. Absolutely love them. Zazie Beetz, also fantastic. Love her as Domino. Really, just a really fun movie. Julian Dennison, who plays Fire Fist, what a nice little surprise he is. And this movie has a bunch of surprises in it that all work for me. Really fun time at the movies. If you want a fun rated R flick, go check out Deadpool 2. That comes in at number 9 for me. Moving up to number 8. Again, probably a surprise, but here we go with another comedy. Number 8, Game Night. This movie, man, I remember going to see this, and I was blown away. I was like, this is the comedy of the year, hands down. I don't know what could beat it. Deadpool 2, real close, but this movie is so freaking clever. The twist we get at the end, multiple twists we get at the end, all play really well. John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein just do a really excellent job from a directing standpoint. The cinematography is really solid, and the way they tell this story and get what they get out of the acting is phenomenal. Mark Perez really wrote a solid movie here. It's one of those, it's sad that not more people saw this when it was out in the movie theaters. This is a really, really solid movie. It's funny, but it's smart. It's really, really smart. And it gives you a fun action comedy. Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams, excellent as you would expect. But you get really nice assists from Kyle Chandler, Sharon Horgan, Billy Magnuson, Lamorne Morris, and Kylie Bunbury. this whole cast, man, is just so fun. The groupings that they have in the movie work so well, and each group like plays it differently, and just each bring out a different side of comedy, and the whole thing is just great. I highly, highly, highly recommend Game Night. There's a part of me that wanted to put this in the top 5 at one point, because I was really, really impressed overall by the movie. Moving on to number 7, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Yes, this movie, I tell you, before it came out, if you would have said, hey, Corey, the new Jurassic World would be in your top 10 halfway through the year, I would have been like, I don't know about that. But then, this movie, man, especially if you've seen any of my either spoiler or non-spoiler reviews, you know how much I love the last 40 minutes of this movie. J.A. Bayona is just not getting enough love right now for what he pulls off. The suspense and real, legit fear and scares in this movie are brilliant. He knows how to craft a suspenseful scene so well. And what something they do script and story-wise in that 40 minutes elevates the suspense where you really feel like things are at risk. There's a high body count in this movie. They use practical animatronics. Yes, we only had one dino that was a practical animatronic in the first Jurassic World. Almost all of the ones that are human characters come in at least close proximity to, at some point or another, are practical dinosaurs. The T-Rex is real. The Indoraptor is real. Just on, and they blend with the CGI so well. The story, a little flat in the second act when they're on the boat. You could probably trim some of that out. You could probably tighten this movie up if you shaved off a little bit. But Bayona pays such great tribute to Isla Nublar, the island that we've been on now for 4 movies, 4.5, kind of. And we get to spend a fun time there, and the whole destruction of the island is awesome. And we get so much dino action. There's so much fun dino action in this movie. There's so many dinosaurs in this movie. I really, really love Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. That comes in at number 7 for me. And look, Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, phenomenal. They're so good on screen together. I could just go on. And Pratt is just such a good hero. This movie also probably deserves to be in the top 5 in most lists, but not here because there are 6 more movies that are stellar. And moving on to number 6, also something that just came out, Incredibles 2. Man, again, a movie that I was expecting to enjoy, I had high hopes for, and crushed my expectations, man. This movie was so good. Brad Bird does a fantastic job of teleporting us right back to where we ended with Incredibles 1. It feels like we're watching the movie like continue right from where it left off. He does so many fun things, man. The action sequences with Elastigirl are amazing, especially on her bike. Her fight with Screenslaver is one of the most visually stunning scenes I've seen in a long time. The animation in general is some of the best Pixar has ever given us. I love watching Mr. Incredible play Dad, and he does a really good job. At one point in the movie, he's like, what am I, like the substitute parent? No, I'm Mr. Incredible. I'm incredible at everything. I'm incredible at being a dad. And then, the 2 action pieces that bookend this movie, the start and the finish, where we get to see everybody involved. So much fun. The action's great. It's funny. It's fun. And Jack worth every penny. To meet the expectations that we had for what they could do with Jack, and to do what they gave us, his scene with the raccoon, one of the best scenes of the year, hands down. It's just fantastic. I really, really love this movie. Incredibles 2 comes in at number 6. So there we go. We are halfway through, and it is on to number 5. And I bet so many people, myself included, will be shocked that this movie is only halfway up the list. But this is a really good year for movies. So coming in at number 5, this is probably shocking for people who are watching this going, see, man, you're putting Avengers Infinity War at 5? I am. I'm putting it at 5. I've got 4 movies in front of it that I think are better. And mainly that's because this movie, as a standalone movie, doesn't work as well as what it truly is, which is a 10-year building event. And for something that has been building 10 years, what Joe and Anthony Russo pull off is amazing. The cinematics, the CGI, the action, it's all flawless. It's stellar. The motion capture for Thanos. You know, coming off of a Justice League movie last year where we had a really bad CGI villain. Night and day, man. For something that's completely CGI, he feels so real. The mocap on his face is unbelievable, and his acting performance is unbelievable. This is Thanos' story as it deserved to be. It should have been. He had the most story. You know, who gets shine in the movie is based off of who intersects with Thanos directly. And it just pays off. There are shocks. This whole movie is a giant spoiler. They really did what they needed to do. There are deaths, there are major deaths, and we are left with that stuff. We have to stick with whatever we get in the movie for a whole year. Whether or not things change or get reversed, look, this is the comic book world. If you've been reading comics, heroes die and come back all the time, so you can't really fault a movie for going that route. But the fact that we gotta sit with what we gotta sit for an entire year, huge props to what Anthony and Joe Russo pull off here. This cast is amazing. I could talk for 20 minutes just talking about all of them. But what Downey gives you performance-wise is just stellar. Chris Hemsworth just continues to elevate Thor. You know, Ruffalo, Evans, Johansson, Cheadle, Cumberbatch, Holland, Boseman, Saldana, Gillen, Hiddleston, Bettany, Olsen, Mackie. Everybody that's in this movie is fantastic. It's so much fun. You know, the bad guys are legit. Thanos especially, and it starts strong. It strikes fear right away, which is what this movie needed, and it keeps that tone the whole way. And maybe that's why. You know, this isn't a fun movie, but it is a fun movie. So, shocking or not, Avengers Infinity War comes in at number 5 for me. All right, man. These 4 movies, I had such a tough time ranking these movies. They're all so good and all do things that you weren't expecting. These were all kind of a lot of surprise movies on this top 10 list. And maybe the biggest one on the whole list is coming in at number 4, Upgrade. Dude, wow. Like, you want to talk about an awesome action sci-fi flick? Woo! This movie is amazing. Leigh Whannell, both from a writing standpoint and from a directing standpoint, this movie is, wow. I mean, like, it's not the best writing, right? But it's really solid. The world building the universe that he creates is awesome. And what we get story-wise, just as far as what we're watching, what the story is like really cool. And the action is insane. The concept is insane. Of having a human, like AI inserted into a human that can like take over your body. And the way that Logan Marshall Green plays this character when he's in control of his body, he's a paraplegic after a car accident. But the way he controls his body, it's like everything's off a second, right? He's got to tell the computer, I want to move my arm, so everything seems delayed. But when the computer takes over, it is flawless perfection of movement. It's unbelievable. The action is so cool looking. The cinematography is really cool looking. Whannell does a lot of really cool cinematic moves with the camera. He does some really cool action set pieces. Like I said, the movement, what Logan Marshall Green does, just from a movement standpoint, on top of his acting performance, is phenomenal. This movie came out of left field. It's really sad nobody picked it up to help Blumhouse with, marketing this movie, so it could have gotten the marketing it deserved. This movie should have been humongous. And there's been a lot of movies in this top 10 that were not as big as they probably deserve to be at the box office. It's hard to get people out there these days, even with MoviePass and the new AMC thing. These different programs trying to get you out. It's still hard to get people out there, and you really got to market well. And it's a shame that this movie was not marketed as well as it should have been, because this movie is fantastic. It's got a great twist, and just the whole thing, the way that Logan Marshall Green and the AI are able to communicate is really cool. And it works so well. It's something I hope they do with Venom. Logan Marshall Green kind of looks like Tom Hardy, who's playing Venom. I hope they do what they do here, there, and that could really be something special too. And then you got really good bad guys, man. You got really solid villains. Just a really stellar movie that I was not expecting when I went to go see it. So if you have not seen Upgrade yet, you got to check it out. It is for sure one of the top 10 movies of the year. I don't think anything in this top 4 will get knocked off far enough to not be on a top 10 list at the end of the year. Now, on we go. Top 3 time, baby. Coming in at number 3, another movie really, really poorly marketed, and its general theater strategy right now is garbage. The fact that this movie was not released in full right from the get-go and not, again, marketed, promoted the way that it should have been, this movie is wild. I have not had a chance to sit down and talk about it yet. Be on the lookout for that. We are going to get into it. I'm not going to spoil anything about this movie. American Animals. What Bart Layton, both writer and director, does with this film, it's some of the best, based on a true story, filming I've ever seen. There's a device he uses in this movie I've never seen used before that makes everything feel super real. The acting from this cast is superb. Evan Peters is amazing. Ann Dowd is great. Blake Jenner, Barry Keoghan? I'm saying your last name wrong, buddy, but you are wonderful. Kid from you see his face. I think it's Barry Keoghan. But he's amazing. Jared Abrahamson, also great. These 4 guys, this story about these 4 kids trying to steal like old books from the library on campus that are worth like millions of dollars. It's a wild story, and the way they tell it is some of the most inventive storytelling I've seen in a movie maybe the last 10 years. I thought this was really cool. I've never personally seen anything like it. If something like this has been done before, I've not seen it, but it's so hard to talk about this movie because there's a massive spoiler that really drives the movie, but it's so cool. Like I said, Bart Layton should be really, really proud of this movie. Cinematically, it's awesome. Some of the tricks and things he pulls out, uses in the movie, are so cool, and again, inventive storytelling. Really good acting, a great story, a crazy story, which just helps drive a movie that's just paced and told so well. Really, you gotta go check it out. The problem is this movie is a Movie Pass venture that was released in like absolute minimal theaters at the beginning of June, then like to only Bowtie Cinemas, at least by me, that was the only place I could find it, and now it's slowly getting to more theaters. This movie needed to be in all theaters right from the get-go. Should also be making tons of money. Like nobody is talking about this movie, and that's an absolute travesty because this movie is really freaking cool. It is a travesty that the number 3 movie on my list is something that probably most of you haven't even heard of. So definitely go try to check out American Animals. As we move on, top 2 spots. These 2 movies, man. I've never walked. It's been so long since I've walked out of a movie theater as happy as I was with all of these movies, but especially these 2. Coming in at number 2, again, super inventive storytelling. A Quiet Place. John Krasinski gives us something really, really special. For a horror movie to do what this movie does and actually get mainstream audiences to go and spend tons of money on this movie is so unbelievably impressive. And this movie turned into a legitimate event. If you didn't see A Quiet Place within the first week, you must have hated life. Having to avoid spoilers, having to avoid friends and family talking about the movie. This movie turned into a worldwide phenomenon that you never see horror movies have that happen. The acting in this movie is absolutely incredible. Krasinski is amazing, as is to be expected with him. Emily Blunt, also superb. They brought on a real-life deaf girl to play their deaf daughter, Millicent Simmons. She is amazing, man. Steals your heart. And the fact that she's deaf plays such a cool role in the movie. It was awesome. And then Noah Jupe, also really, really strong as the middle brother, and then Cade Woodward, who's the youngest. It's just such a cool story about a family set in the middle of a horror nightmare. Just such an awesome movie. Talk about building suspense. There's not even a ton of jump scares in this movie. When they hit, they hit. But the suspense building, you are literally on the edge of your seat the whole movie. This movie is so impressive. They're talking about serializing it and kind of doing a Cloverfield type of deal where we go and check out different pockets of places going through this event. Unbelievable movie. Absolutely mind-blowing. Love it. I imagine this will also probably be up in the top 5 come the end of the year. This movie was just superb for me. That brings us to number 1, and it should be no It should be no shock or surprise to anybody that Black Panther is so far the best movie of the year, and I think when we get to the end of the year, it's still gonna be Black Panther as the best movie of the year. This movie hits on every single level. Made all the money in the world. This movie was in theaters for like 10 weeks, easily findable, which is wild. And it was making money the whole time it was out. Ryan Coogler, from a writing and directing standpoint, gives you something absolutely spectacular. What him and Michael B. Jordan have going together is amazing. This story is just riveting. It goes places you don't expect it to, and it tells a really awesome story, and allows us to watch Chadwick Boseman play T'Challa, not just Black Panther. We get to see him play a ton of T'Challa in this movie, and it's so awesome. We get to really see him become king, which is awesome, really cool. Michael B. Jordan, maybe the best villain after Loki, and if he could be around for more than one movie, he could maybe be the best villain out in the Marvel Universe, man. We get to see his backstory for like 3 minutes at the beginning of this movie that just make him work, and then he does all the work. I mean, he's huge. He's physically just dominating on the screen. He and the acting is just superb. What he does with Eric Killmonger is fantastic. I love getting to see Andy Serkis out of CGI stuff and actually see his face and see him having fun. He has so much fun as Ulysses Claw. Lupita Nyong'o, great as Nakia. Danielle Gurria, amazing as Okoye. But Letitia Wright, man, she steals the show as Shuri. Amazing, man. There's so much humor in this movie that you don't expect. The storytelling, like I said, is fascinating and just so well told. Cinematically beautiful, man. The colors and the African culture and the score and African drums and the things that they do with this world, man. Take me back to Wakanda right now. I want to be in Wakanda all the time. This movie is amazing. This will easily get multiple Oscar nods in some of the smaller categories like set design and costumes and special effects. It's gonna get those. I think it's gonna get movie of the year. You cannot deny what this movie is. This movie is a juggernaut, and it is absolutely again a worldwide phenomenon that's just magical. I saw it in the theater 5 times. It's just it's so rewatchable. It's a wonderful movie. Best movie of the year so far. I expect it to be the best movie of the year by the time it's all said and done. So there we go, folks. Took us a little while, but we got through our top 10 movies of 2018, 6 months in. We got 6 more months to go. It has been an awesome year. I cannot wait to see where we head next. And some of the movies that we know are coming out, I am stoked for. We are definitely going to see some movies climb up into this top 10 by the end of the year. I cannot wait to see the rest of the summer flicks. I cannot wait for our Oscar run. Very, very excited about where we are with films right now. So that's it, man. That's all I got to say. My top 10 from the old C-Man for top 10 movies of 2018 thus far, halfway through the year. Now it's your turn. Hit those comments below. Let me know what you think. Give me your top 10 of the list. Top 10 list of best movies thus far this year. Leave all your comments below. I love seeing those. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you get an alert every time I make a new video. For the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I'm the C-Man, and I'm signing off. Peace, my babies.